Hello and welcome to Experience Boost Gameplay. I am Rin.
And I'm Archive.
And we're playing Cinderella Phenomenon.
Yes, we are. Last time, we finally found out the reasons for Rod's curse.
So go back and watch it.
Exactly. Go back and watch it, because you're going to have it spoiled for you if you keep going.
Yep.
But we left off, as always, not always, most of the time, as
in
99%.
Transition hall.
They have a hallway of transition. We did have a conversation. We did visit the Martian the night before, and that's kind of where we left off.
Days go by, but I still find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcaster. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they are looking for, which means he can't be the witch, right? Like, the fact that they have suspicions as fast as we did probably means that it's not him. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I have not heard anyone mention his name here for a very long time. I am forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I had been holding scatter over the floor. Excuse me, I did not... I look up, my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into.
Mithros or Fritz?
Right? That's what I was thinking.
Mithros. Lost in your thoughts?
Sir Mithros looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. Ugh.
I suppose those are the linens the Queen asked for?
Yes, please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mithros picks it up first.
Allow me to help you.
I will be fine.
But this was partially my fault. Let me assist you.
I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mithros helps me gather the rest of the linens. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mithros has been talking.
I don't suppose you have any idea on who that maid is.
Maid? There is a cold amusement in Sir Mithros' gaze.
Surely you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town. Rumor has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has.
Rod with a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid he's been out in town with has been... I freeze as Sir Mithros straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me.
If it is true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now.
Creeper.
Well, how's that a royal scandal? The king went and married a commoner.
Right, and he was technically a commoner from the beginning. So.
Exactly, right? Why would it be...
Chill out, Mithros. Creeper. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mithros as he inclines his head to me.
Have a good day, Rin.
Yeah.
Guy reminds me of a snake.
Right? I walk to the dining hall in a haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mithros just said. I'm sure it was those noblemen who spread this rumor. Oh, Rin! Thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. If that is all... Rin! I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression is carefully still. I'm about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. I will answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands in her lap. I've been trying to ignore it since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened?
I don't know. We're not courting Ophelia. I don't know what to say.
I know, but does this affect Rod?
I have no idea.
What would he want me to do?
Oh, I don't know. I'm deferring to you on this one.
I would probably explain the situation.
All right.
If Ophelia is asking me about these rumors, then I can only imagine what kind of story those women made up. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noblewomen, he stopped to intervene, that's all. Rod said the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Majesty? To see what you thought about the situation. I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod? Oh! It was the right thing!
Friend, that was the right thing for Rod.
I like you, Rin, and I'm certain that you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I would let him court you. I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, Rin. Then what about the fact that I'm Rod's stepsister? Oh. She said it out loud.
No, she didn't say it out loud.
Oh.
I bite down on that statement fiercely.
Okay, I already know what role I am playing here, and I cannot break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I will not push you on this any further. But be careful, Rin. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move toward the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I'm waiting outside the throne room for Emmeline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me. Rin, is it? What is it? I've already finished all of my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so you could hang around the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around them, huh? I blink at them confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmeline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too big for your boots, Rin. Are you threatening me? What if we are?
Then I'd be very disappointed in you.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's Rod too.
Oh, that's
I keep getting that wrong. Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Princess Emmeline! Emmeline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face. I did not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Your Highness.
You really do have talent for getting yourself into trouble.
Rod. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids.
Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid?
We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way. The two maids run off. Emmeline turns to look at me. Are you okay? I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us. I frown at his back. He had only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I do not exist. What did I do? Emmeline puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward. You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes. Emmeline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open. I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while. But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glance down the hallway. Rod just disappeared down, and then back at the throne room. My thoughts whirl together in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait! At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He scowls, but does not say anything. He doesn't like it when I tell him off, right?
I don't think so. Probably be more impactful for him if you say nothing, right? You run after him, say wait, and then you just don't say anything. Probably make him feel guilty.
Ready? I feel abruptly tongue-tied when I come face to face with him. Is it likely that my telling him off will result in some sort of altercation? That would not be good.
What? I have better things to do than be gaped at.
Rod turns away from me. I'm left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he's not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest to choose from. What is this? Why do I feel sad? Normally Rod's distance does not make me feel like this. And yet now? Am I really so sad that he does not want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It is better not to think about it.
Guess not.
Oh, darn it. We keep choosing wrong for him. I don't want to choose wrong for Rod.
Well, it's hard to tell sometimes what's going to work.
I know, sometimes telling him off is good and sometimes it's not. It is the day of the ball and I'm waiting for Emmeline to finish her last dance rehearsal. The lesson was over an hour ago, but Emmeline remains here to continue practicing the steps. Meanwhile, I am preoccupied with the thoughts of Rod's curse. I can't believe that Rod traded his voice for a title. So the reason the king was able to find Ophelia was because of Rod. It is a little difficult to wrap my head around the implications, but one thing bothers me. Rod told me why he has the curse, but he gave me no explanation as how to break it. How did it go in the original fairy tale? Emmeline finishes up the last steps of her routine before walking over to me. I hand her the glass of water I was holding for her. Thank you, Rin. Emmeline must notice my curiosity because she stops to look at me quizzically. Is something the matter? I read a little bit of that fairy tale but never finished it. Can you tell me the whole story of the Little Mermaid? The Little Mermaid? Emmeline takes a seat on one of the chairs bordering the throne room and gestures for me to take the one opposite her. Telling a fairy tale is always a good way to wind down. Once upon a time, there was a mermaid that fell in love with a handsome prince. One day, when she swam to the surface of the ocean to find him, she saw that the prince was celebrating his birthday on the grandest ship in the kingdom. The Little Mermaid was captivated by the human party and stayed to watch. Then suddenly a violent storm hit, and the prince was thrown from the ship into the ocean. The Little Mermaid saved the prince and took him safely to shore, but she could not stay long. She eventually had to return to the ocean and leave him on land. This is similar to Viorica's rescue. The Little Mermaid was so in love with the prince that she went to a sea witch who offered to trade her a potion that would turn her mermaid's tail into legs. They struck a deal. The mermaid would sacrifice her beautiful voice for the legs so that she could live with the prince on land. So in Rod's case, he traded away his voice to become a prince. However, the sea witch gave the Little Mermaid a warning and said that if she wasn't able to make the prince fall in love with her, there would be consequences. Uh-oh. Consequences? Yes. Namely, if the prince fell in love and married someone else, the mermaid's heart would break and she would dissolve into sea foam. So the way to break it is for her to fall in love with him.
Well,
or maybe someone to fall in love with him.
They haven't said that, but do you think Rod's becoming more cold because
of that?
Because of that?
I can't help but recoil. My expression must betray my horror because Emmeline quickly shakes her head. There is no need to be worried. Rod has said that his curse is different from the fairy tale. And you believe him? Emmeline shrugs helplessly as she puts down her now empty glass of water. The fairy tale curse always twists the original fairy tale, right? Besides, it's not as if Rod traded his voice for legs, and I've never heard of a cursed person that dies because they can't break their curse. That may be true, but Emmeline does not know what Rod traded his voice for. She does not know that he did it to become a prince for Viorica. Rod is already hiding things from her. Is it possible that Rod will die the day Viorica marries Desmond?
Did it say Desmond or
I
Desmond?
know, it said Desmond this time instead of Desmond.
Huh.
That was probably just an error. Later that day, I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be inspecting the seating arrangements for the night's banquet. He glances up briefly to look at me before returning his attention to the placards with the guest names on them.
What is it?
I've been looking for you all morning. I'm distracted from what I'm about to say when I notice Rod switching the position of two placards. I frown as I catch the name on one of them. He's moving Viorica's place at the table. Is he trying to make sure she sits as far away from him as possible?
Surely you have better things to do than stay in here.
What happens if you can't break your curse? Rod's movements stutter before he shakes his head sharply.
That is something you do not need to know.
I don't think pleading works.
I'd get angry at him now.
Rod's coldness grates at me and I find myself snapping at him. What is wrong with you?
Excuse me?
All I'm doing is trying to help you break your curse, but you are acting as if I'm trying to help you. Will only make things worse.
No. I'm only insisting that I do not need your help.
We are partners, Rod. I know that doesn't seem to mean much to you, but it means something to me. I intentionally softened my tone when I realized that I had been shouting at him. You should let me help you.
What for? Just because you've somehow managed to get 2 good deeds on your own doesn't mean you can help me at all, Ren.
Frustration courses through me as I clench my hands into fists. Why must he be so stubborn? Is he so certain that I will not be able to help him at all? Emmeline told me the story of the Little Mermaid. She said that the mermaid dies if the prince marries someone else. Rod, when Viorca marries Desmond, will you... My voice trails off when I hear the sound of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia or the king? Rod rushes forward and grabs me before I can glance back at the door. Whoa. Ow. I become aware of a weight holding me down to the floor. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what's happening at first. Am I under the dining table? I struggle to try and sit up, but the weight pushes me down on me again, forcing me to be still.
Quiet.
Rod, why did he push me under the table? I'm about to ask him aloud when the sound of footsteps silences me. I can't help but remember what Sir Mithras was saying about rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the rumors will no doubt get worse. But why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk.
We don't know if this is male or female, so...
Go ahead, I have lots of parts.
How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day.
There's a pause, and then another voice speaks up.
You better have good news for me. Oh, yeah, so the other one was Mithras. Okay. You better have good news for me, Mithras. This is probably Sir Alcaster. There we go.
Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras? Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders.
Everything is as you requested, Sir Alcaster. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithras. I would be careful not to try my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcaster.
Sir Mithras sounds oddly subservient. But why? The two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mithras to obey him with a spell.
Wait a few minutes after I leave. We should not be seen together.
I don't hear Sir Mithras respond, but I can hear Sir Alcaster leaving the room. Sir Mithras sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithras.
This is bad.
I was so engrossed in Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras' conversation that I only just now realized that Rod is hovering over
Cue
me.
the art.
Come on, we knew this was coming.
Ta-da!
Oh.
Hey,
we didn't
right?
get the diamond thing again. Did we do it wrong again?
I have no idea.
Oh, I'm terrible.
Are you hurt? You look a little...
Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he's standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He is bright red. It would be funny if I weren't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat.
It seems that Sir Alcaster really is the witch, if he has the ability to make Sir Mithras obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately.
Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait.
What? This is urgent, Princess. I can't just...
When Viorca marries Desmond, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he will not speak.
You're running out of time, Rod.
My eyes flit between Sebby and Rod. What does that mean?
Nothing.
He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Running away solves nothing, Rod.
You're one to talk. Telling you about my curse won't change anything. The outcome will always be the same. Leave it alone, Ren. It's for the best.
I can't help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You're not the only person that will be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister? To your mother? Losing you would destroy them. Rod's face suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hands to the wall behind me, caging me in. This is a very common thing to do in young adult romances, by the way. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented.
My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too.
His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his words. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he still does nothing to try and break his curse. I don't understand him at all. What is stopping him? Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day and returns only once the sun has set to prepare for the ball.
And with that, we've returned to the hallway of transition. And must
Rod!
adjourn until another day.
Rod!
Rod's so hard to pick. The one time we're supposed to get mad at him, the next time we're not supposed to get mad at him. I guess if we'd done it in the right order, you know.
Maybe, yeah.
We would have thought differently. I don't know. That's hard. That's hard. I'm still not 100% sold that Sir Alcaster is the witch.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if Mithros is the witch and he's tricking Alcaster into doing stuff for him.
Possibly. It just seems too easy.
Seems too easy. They are the prime suspects, though. It'd be even better if there was a third person that you didn't think.
Delora
the whole time.
Wait, she is a witch.
She is a witch. But with that, guys...
Delora. We haven't seen her at all.
We haven't seen Delora for a long time. You don't get to see a lot of the other characters on this path, so it's kind of sad.
That's fine.
But with that, guys, we hope you join us next time to continue the story of Cinderella Phenomenon on Rod's path here. If you like what you saw, consider liking us down below, subscribing to the channel if you're interested in seeing more content. We really just want to have a good time. You know, hope everyone's having a fun time going through the story with us, and let us know if you find this game difficult to make choices or not, because at first it's like, oh yeah, this isn't too bad, and then apparently we just can't seem to get it.
I know.
I used to be made for Rod.
You and Rod were meant for each other.
And then I've lost touch, apparently. Gone too long without playing the game. So
or I rubbed off on you because you're choosing the same ones I would.
Yeah, well.
I need to do opposite of what I would do, and then it's right. Apparently Rod and I are not made for each other, even though he's so cute and I want to help him and he's pretty awesome.
What's gonna happen if he breaks his curse? There's a reason for it.
Right? There's gotta be.
Anyway, guys, hope to see you next time. My name is Archive.
I'm Rin.
See ya.